Hi everyone, welcome back to Killer Film Reviews. Today we'll be reviewing a TV series, The Man in the High Castle. I thought this series was well written. It is over 40 hours in length, so this review is not going to fully do it justice, but I honestly don't want to spoil the story for anyone. I've watched all 4 seasons, and I have a general opinion of the seasons as follows. Season 1 and 2, grounded. Season 3 got all weird. Season 4 kind of wraps it up nice and neat for the most part, but I think the reason why season 2 just kind of gets hit so hard is because of the various things it depicts. It depicts kind of the 1950s sort of a dealio, except the Nazi style. The general plot thread is you're following Juliana Crane and the guy in John Smith, following John Smith and Juliana Crane for a lot of the episodes, and Helen Smith as well, and Inspector Keto. And Tagami, which was one of my favorite characters, you follow him as well in the various pursuits. I really like this because this is actually based on a book. The book it is based on, let's see here. It's based on The Man in the High Castle book, which was written by Philip K. Dick. It's gotten pretty good reviews on Amazon. It has some differences in how they present the different plot elements in the film. In the TV series, it really is like the best way to kind of describe The Man in the High Castle is kind of like a saga. It's like one of them long TV series, like how am I thinking of? I'm drawing blanks. It's like if you saw Gotham, but Gotham was longer, kind of a sense. Like, you know how Gotham's a long series, this is even longer than Gotham. And Gotham didn't even get a 6th or 7th season. Still want that to come back somehow. Honestly. The Man in the High Castle, I think, does well demonstrating what life is like under a Nazi and Japanese rule, because the way that the country's divided up in the series is that you got the neutral zone in the middle, the Japanese control the west, like California to about Montana-ish, and then the Nazis take over basically the eastern half of the United States from, I want to say, Ohio and then to the east of Ohio. Does this series have its ups and downs? Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to not give away too many plot details, but without giving away too many spoilers, it centers around films. These mysterious films depict events that did not occur in their world. And later on, some characters gain the ability to travel to that other world, without giving away too much there. Oh yes, and there is a character of Joe Blake. He was pretty much, I felt a little dull in the first season. Season 2 gets a little bit better. Basically acting as like a double agent of sorts without giving away too much there. I think mainly what I'm giving away is kind of more of Season 1 spoilers more than anything. The rest of the season should be fine to watch, honestly. I found that Season 1 was particularly a little bit slow at the beginning, but then things kind of picked up toward the mid-season. Season 2 is kind of all over the place a bit. Season 2 gets a lot of negativity from a lot of people because of the depiction of the Nazis and their lifestyle, pretty much. But Season 3 kind of makes up for it in a lot of ways. Inspector Keto'S character is quite interesting. I liked watching his character kind of develop throughout the series. He's the one that's in charge of the Japanese and their little what is it? The Kempentai, I think it's called Kempentai. If I remember right, it was Kempentai. Of course, there is the Yakuza in this as well, but they don't really play a role until later on. What else is there? We basically get the development of a well fine-tuned writing team really throughout this. Film reels, I really connected to this a lot through the film reels, because I was like, geez, what if we could do that the same in our reality with that, you know, the different film reels showing what happened, because in their world we lost the war, and in their world we lost, and in ours we won it. It's really interesting to watch the entire plot, watch everything develop as it does. I really liked Tagami's character because he always valued balance and peace. That's something I always advocate, is for peace. I don't like wars in general. I really think they're all fought over various reasons, of course. Some reasons just, some not, such as grabs for resources for some of them. I don't particularly like any sort of character of John Smith I could connect with on some level, honestly, seeing how he went from one extreme to another. There's a lot of good parts with John Smith and Helen Smith and their interactions that I really don't want to spoil here. Inspector Keto gets a lot of good time in the series. You kind of see the start and then the end. Things kind of wrap up in a decent way, honestly, when you get to the end of the series. The mid part of the series, you're basically following around. Let's not forget about Frank Fink. Frank Fink was also a good driving point for a lot of the series too, particularly towards seasons 1 and 2 in particular. And then Ed McCarthy, also a good driver of the plot. Really more towards like season 2-ish. I don't think it's season 2-ish where he has more of a plot line. And then we got Robert Chilidon, who was in a lot of the episodes. But I really did like Frank Fink's character, how he changed from one way to another way. And you kind of get that if you watch the series. Amy Smith developed good as a character. Jennifer Smith did too. It just really depends on the series. Kotomichi developed a little bit. Thomas Smith has interesting arcs throughout the series. If you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. Mark Sampson does as well. We had a lot of interesting twists and turns in season 4. Some I agree with, some I didn't. I don't want to give away too much there, so I'm really trying to hold my tongue here. Juliana Crane's character goes from one end to the other, really is kind of the focal point of the plot of the entire series. Now, her role in the series is more active compared to her role in the books. In the books, she's more passive, from what I understand. The whole idea of seeing alternate worlds is an interesting one. And yes, there is your famous bad guy Hitler in this as well. Not really much screen time as you would think, but you see a progression throughout this story of balance, of there needing to be balance and not to disrupt that balance. And then, of course, there's the man in the high castle himself. Well, I'm not going to give spoilers away for obvious reasons. Well done with the casting of that character. Things become less mysterious after season 2, I want to say. If I remember correctly. You still have that mystery element kind of playing up until like season 2, and then season 3 things kind of get more explained. But this whole series is 40 hours worth of content with various side plots and such. There is a surprise cameo from a Pacific Rim actor if you're paying attention. There's a couple of decent, I would say outside of him there isn't too many other cameos. I believe this series really shows is society under pressure and society under force of what would happen if things didn't go in certain directions in history. I don't think that this series is meant for those that are younger than 16. I really think it's meant more for an adult audience, considering how many themes are present. I don't think folks that are younger than 16 are really going to understand the show's themes and plot lines as much as those that are older than 16, honestly. I know it's rated for like a younger audience, almost saying. Let me see here. Let's check on the rating real quick. High Castle. Rating. I'm going to guess it's going to be rated. Honestly, it is not made for kids. It is made more for those that are 16 and older. And I really think that a lot of the scenes would be inappropriate and fly over people's heads after season 2 anyway. Season 1 and 2 seem to be pretty grounded. Season 3 and 4 not so grounded. Things just kind of go all over the place. Inspector Keto goes from like a menacing figure to more kind of caring after a time. If you watch the whole series, I'll give too much away. I really think that they could have spent more time kind of exploring the whole neutral zone. That's the area like in between the east and the west, kind of Ohio. Like just a little bit west of Ohio and goes up to Montana. Basically a lawless land, like think 1800s western towns, Clint Eastwood movies. Honestly, it's amazing what they're able to accomplish with the series. I have not watched a more well-done series than this in a while. I honestly think it deserves a sequel series that goes into the events that kind of is a spin-off and takes place during the series. Honestly. It just was so well written and really deserves a season 5, but we'll probably never get that just because of how things wrapped in season 4. But with Futurama getting its own revival here recently, I think there's hope that maybe someday there'll be a follow-up to the series in some form, but season 4 just went all wacky. I just didn't understand it. But throughout this series, you can slowly see certain things kind of creep in throughout the series if you're paying attention. Honestly. But what did I think of Joe Blick? Did I think his character had a decent arc? Yeah, man. Could have survived a little longer than what happened, but yeah. I'm giving away too much. I'm trying not to give away too many things here. Such a good series, mainly for its art styles, its direction of writing. Gami being one of the more decent and grounding characters that kind of is trying to prevent the wars. Honestly. I don't know what it is about me, but I prefer balance more than anything, and I agree with that life there is a balance. You can't have too much of a good or too much of an evil. And I strongly believe that, honestly, because of the way things are. In this, I recently did the Oppenheimer review, and I said it related directly to that because it explained what basically happened with the Nazis dropping a nuke on, was it San Francisco, or was it? The Nazis dropped a nuke, I forget where it was, but they dropped it and then they got America to submit that way. They were very, very close to getting that technology, and people don't realize that. One reason why they didn't acquire that technology is just because they went down the wrong way with the research. Honestly, Oppenheimer kind of really saved our asses and really got kicked to the curb really by our country when he tried to push for arms control. The same way you kind of see Tagami almost getting kicked to the curb at various times because he's trying to push for peace while all the factions around him want more and more war. Honestly, I think most of the audience can connect to Tagami with not wanting war in the first place. Those that want war have not experienced war do not understand what war is. Honestly, from my experience. Have I ever served in a war? No, but I've read plenty of books on Vietnam and Desert Storm, honestly, to say that war is not something anybody should want or ever crave. And those that ever want war tend to want the country to go backwards in a way. I think the value of peace is often overlooked throughout our history. We were once a nation that did not intervene in international conflicts long time ago. I want to say it was before World War I. We were pretty much, nope, we're not getting involved in that European war. Then after World War I, we took a more active role in international matters. And now, ever since World War II, we've become like the protectors of everything, pretty much. Protectors of the world, essentially, in a sense. And that war is something that should be avoided at all costs. Right now, these series are relevant, and these movies are relevant because of what's going on in Ukraine. Right now, we are this close to nuclear war. And that increases by the day because we continue going in that country when we have no business being there. The only reason why we're there is because Russia invaded, only because we egged them on by overthrowing the leader in Ukraine that was actually keeping the peace. And the U.S. has a history of overthrowing leaders in the name of freedom, and it's not always right. The Iraq War is one example of this. We were told, Iraq is weapons of mass destruction. We go in there, and what happens? We find no weapons of mass destruction, and a lot of people end up dying. That is why I will always be anti-war, because I think about what's happening in Ukraine and how easily it could be me being drafted to those front lines if the government so wanted to. And it's amazing what they've been able to get away with this war, trying to say that Ukraine is winning when Ukraine is losing. And that is why series like The Man in the High Castle, I believe, should be part of the educational curriculum to demonstrate, hey, all these wars are very bad and we shouldn't encourage them. That's honestly why I think why Oppenheimer and Man in the High Castle should be curriculum for high school students, for the AP classes at least. I believe by 16 most students can handle these kind of movies. But are there some scenes that really don't belong in both series? Yes. They're just there to kind of break the ice, I think. That's about it. But I think that there needs to be more things in high school curriculum that discourage war and encourage peace instead. That's why I think The Man in the High Castle will be one of my picks for that, along with Lord of War. Lord of War was one of the earlier reviews that I did on this channel about a year or so ago. And even back then I said, I'm making this film review because I fear of an escalation in conflict in Russia, in Ukraine. And it happened. We were unsure of what was going to happen at that time, and look at what's happened. Has anybody really gained anything besides the politicians in Washington, D.C.? I don't really think we're gaining anything by continuing to remain in this war in Ukraine, and that's why Lord of War, Oppenheimer, The Man in High Castle are important series to watch and take in because it shows you the price of war and why war should be avoided. But I get it. You don't like seeing somebody sit there and say, hey, this is not right. But you know I have a point. These wars need to come to an end at some time. And it can only happen when enough people come together like they did in the 1960s and say, hey, we've been in these wars for way too long. We need a break. We need to stop. We need to evaluate what we're doing. We need to stop intervening in matters that don't concern us. I will always say that I don't agree with war. I think that we've been tricked many times as a nation to go into war, to sacrifice young men and women on those front lines in the name of freedom, or that what we think is freedom. The last war that even had a point really was probably World War II, and afterwards we've been getting ourselves involved in way too many conflicts. That's just what I think. Others may disagree with me and say, oh, it doesn't matter how many wars we're in, blah, 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 and I'm shaking my head going like, no, you don't understand the price of war and how many veterans come back damaged. The ones that do come back are damaged with PTSD and other disorders. And that's what you fail to realize, is that it has a price on even those that survive. Those that have seen their comrades perish before their eyes. Those are the things that they will never forget. And that is why I discourage war, and that's why I highly recommend The Man in the High Castle as a 10 out of 10 series. Because it shows the after effects of society after Japan and Nazi Germany take over America, and they lost the war in this alternate reality. I liked the touch of the film reels. It was an excellent touch. I highly recommend the series, like I said, 10 out of 10. It's a good idea to pair it with Oppenheimer in the same viewing if possible, if not within the week or two afterwards, for understanding what the movie's main message is, for understanding why you shouldn't want to encourage war. And Lord of War too, if you can. Seriously. Thank you for watching this killer film review. I hope to be back with another one next week. Not sure what it's going to be yet. I'm going to go hit the theaters next week, hopefully, and I'll get back to you then. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed this review. Please check out the other channels under the channels tab and have a great day.